Welcome to the Faith and Business Podcast. I'm Elle Edwards, mental health champion, positive psychology geek, and founder of the Faith and Business Playground. Join me each week as I talk openly about the highs and lows of running your own business, the dark side of entrepreneurism, and I bring you tools, support, and resources to help build your resilience, or as I like to call it, your bounce back. In today's episode of the podcast, we are thinking about weaknesses and how we have the potential to turn those weaknesses into our greatest assets. So if you listened to Tuesday's episode, you will have heard me mention the fact that today's masterclass, it should be trumpets for that, which is exciting. The masterclass is today at the time of releasing this episode. It's Friday. But today's masterclass came about as a result of a conversation with people in my Facebook community, conversation with people on Instagram and also on Twitter. Because I was feeling a little bit, okay, I have all these things that I want to share. I have these tools and these tricks and this coaching and this learning and all of this really good stuff. And I could make this and I could do that. And my weakness in that moment was, okay, well, what do I do first? Because, you know, as my sales coach, Jess, always reminds us, one problem, one solution. And so every time, if you don't know Jess Lorimer, I would shout out to her, go and follow her, stalk her on whichever social media platform you are on. Because if you're in business and, you want to stay in business, you need to learn how to sell. Jess is brilliant at helping with that. But she says, one problem, one solution. So my weakness in that moment was, well, I've got all of these different solutions and all of these different problems I could help with. You got to pick one, she said. Well, how do I pick one? Market research was the answer. And so I went out there, and maybe if you're listening to this, you might be one of the people who actually who helped me with this market research. And if you are, thank you so much. And if I haven't already messaged you with a thank you, ping me, because I have something special for you. But that's an aside. My weakness in that moment was, uncertainty, not sure which one to do first. And so I went out there and I asked, and I got an answer. And today's masterclass and the group coaching program that comes off the back of today's masterclass is as a direct result of doing that market research. So I want you to think about, what are some of the things that you are struggling with today? What are those things that feel like you can't fix them or you don't know the answer? And how is it possible, or is it possible, I'm just going to ask you to consider, is it possible that you could turn that weakness into your greatest asset? Because I do believe, having gone out there and asked people what they need, it's actually been really easy then to go, you told me what you needed. Look, here's this thing. And that's really exciting. And I've genuinely never done it this way before. And I've always had lots of ideas. I did actually have a service once called the Ideas Factory. Typical entrepreneur, loads of ideas. But that ideas generated thing, as well as being a gift, because it allows you to have lots of ideas, it can be a bit of a curse sometimes, or a weakness, because how do you know which one to do first? And so it really was a problem. But suddenly, by turning it around and going out there and asking people what they needed, it's been a completely different experience for me. It's been really exciting. And you know how sometimes, and this might be just me, but I'm pretty sure it's not, unless you're a salesperson. Now, I hesitated then, because if you're in business, you are a salesperson, particularly if you're running, if you're a solopreneur or very small business. I know bigger businesses have sales teams. Fine, okay. All of us as entrepreneurs, though, if we're in small businesses, which most of the people listening to this are, you do need to be in sales. That said, if you don't think of yourself as a salesperson, if what you'd really like to do is just sort of show up and bring your service or your product or whatever without having to sell, then you might be a bit like me. You might be a little bit like, oh, I don't like selling, and I don't like having to shout from the rooftops about my thing, and it feels like you're being annoying and pestering people. My experience this week, because I took that weakness and turned it around and actually asked other people what they wanted and what they needed, I've been a lot less shy. And you might be listening to this going, yeah, I know you've been a lot less shy, Elle. I've seen you all week. You haven't stopped harping on about that blooming masterclass. If that's the case, sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Because I actually know it will help. That's the difference. I know confidently, because people have told me that they need it, it becomes this asset. And the same is true for you, which is why I'm bothering to mention it. Whatever that thing is, that weakness, that uncertainty, there is a way to turn it around and let it become your greatest asset. I'll give you another silly, daft example. Like, I tend to be a little bit excitable. If you've seen any of my videos recently, or if you've been on Zoom calls with me, particularly in group settings, I get quite animated and excited and very easily excited about all of the things. And for some people, that's a bit of a turn off. So for some people, that could be a bit of a weakness. They're like, oh, you're just too much, Elle. You get too excited. You're too tiggery. And that's fine. For those people, I'm clearly not the right person to work with. But the other day I was on a Zoom call and somebody sort of said, I can't remember how they phrased it now, but they said something really nice, like about my energy, and it helped lift them up. And they come on the call. They didn't have any questions. They just come on because they wanted some of that energy. And they said it much nicer. And I was like, oh, that's a nice thing to say. Thank you. And so what some people see as a weakness, and this sort of like, I talk too fast, for example. And I got somebody the other day said, oh, I love your smile. I'm like, have you not seen my goofy teeth? But apparently the goofy teeth don't matter if you're kind of like smiling and it reaches your eyes. Who knew? My point is this: you being you, even if you think some of those aspects of you being you aren't the strongest. I'm sure all of us, particularly as women, we're really good at being negative about ourselves. We wish that we had, I don't know, smaller feet or a smaller nose or less jelly belly, or we wish that we, could speak more elegantly. Or maybe we don't like the way our hair sits sometimes, or I don't know. You've got things for yourself. All of us have things that we criticize about ourselves. But the reality is that those things, quirks and warts and foibles and all, they make you you. And so if you're struggling with some of these aspects of yourself today, I want to encourage you and hopefully empower you to see them a little bit differently, to remind you that those weaknesses, and that really is in inverted commas in this context, those weaknesses really are your greatest assets. You being you, showing up all in, going all out. I mean, I should add, of course, me being me is, what you see is what you get. But the flip of that, because there's other people, if you're an introvert or more introverted, if you're, you might be much more softly spoken, you might like to think things over carefully. And then you get a noisy so-and-so like me that shows up and says, just be yourself all out. And that's true. But you being yourself is you being you. And if you being you is softly spoken, thinking before you speak, considering your words, that's wonderful. Don't stop being that. Don't stop that. Be more of that. That's what this is really about. It's about embracing the person that God made you to be. Because you are you and me are me. I am, I can't even formulate a sentence for that. But I'm me and you're you. And as I think is Oscar Wilde said, is like, just be yourself because there's nobody else like you. And I believe that you are put on this planet for a purpose, and that purpose is for you to be you. Now, what that looks like in the context of the work you do can really vary. I personally believe that God's will for you is for you to show up all you. And so if you're struggling with that a little bit, if that's something that you would like to do more of, but you know that you don't, take heart. This is something that I can help you with. It's something that you can find easier with practice. But we do really need you to be you, because you're brilliant and wonderful and amazing. And the more you that you can be, the more delightful this world is as a result. So that's your mission for today. If there are things that are feeling like a weakness, consider how you can turn them around into your greatest asset. And I am going to, of course, it would be remiss of me not to mention this afternoon's masterclass. If you're not already signed up, faithandbusinessplayground.com/masterclass. There will be a replay up for a little while. So if you think you've missed it, go to the page. If the page is still there, you haven't missed it. So come and join us. But thanks for being here, and I look forward to catching up with you next time. Take care.